We're going live. We're
And
live.
we're live. Yay!
I'm live. Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm Leslie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And we're from the Hand Readers Guild. And we are here today to talk all about thumbs.
It's the thumbs day. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Where it's all thumbs. So we know that in our culture, we have a lot of different idioms that talk about thumbs. I mean, thumbs up. We've already said thumbs up. Under my thumb, sitting on your thumbs.
Rule of thumb.
Rule of thumb.
Thumbs down.
Putting your thumb on the scale.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Oh, yeah. So many. There's so many. I probably can't even think of them all. But I Googled it while I was getting ready for this live. And there actually is a page full of idioms of all about thumbs. And there were lots and lots of them. And lots of variations on some of the same ones. But still, there's more than I could even come up with in my own head. But the thing that's interesting about every one of those idioms is that they are all about results and control. Every one of them. When you think about thumbs up, that's like, yep, the result is good. Thumbs down, the result is bad. When we talk about putting your thumb on the scale even, that's about getting the result that you want, right? You want to like make it weigh a little more so you can charge the customer a little more money for what they're buying.
Right.
And when you talk about sitting on your thumbs, sucking your thumbs, right? Sucking your thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
When you're sucking your thumbs, that is a saying that means you're not getting anything done. You're sitting around just kind of like doing nothing. Twiddling your thumbs. There's another one about not getting anything done.
Yep.
So when we think about those and we think about hands and reading hands, they're very much in line.
Yes. One of my mentors, Kay Packard, she had a quote that said, "The thumb is the engine to support the rest of the finger energies," which is quite true. Because if you can't get anything done, how are you supposed to be creative or get your creativity out? Or how are you supposed to manage your money?
Or step up into your leadership.
Or step up into leadership, yeah.
Or communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
Or reach your goals. Yep. So, yes, the thumb is a really important part of the hand. And we also know that, they say that we are really the only creatures that have truly opposable thumbs. And I know monkeys do have thumbs. We see that, and a few other types of animals have thumbs, sloths and other types of animals. But I've gone to the zoo actually to study the thumbs on other creatures. And I spent a lot of time staring at the orangutans in the Portland Zoo, looking at their hands and their thumbs. And their thumbs really don't have the opposable abilities. They don't reach their fingers quite the same way that ours do. So they may be able to make certain types of tools or do certain things with their hands, but they don't have the functions that we as humans do. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about thumbs and what we can see in our thumbs when we're looking at them. We're going to use some handprints and some diagrams to help you see what we know about thumbs. So one of the first things that we look at in thumbs is the size of the thumb. And we're talking about in proportion to the rest of the hand. So there's two factors to consider. One of them is length. So if you can see on this particular diagram here, your thumb, if you held it right up close to your rest of your hand, the tip of your thumb should reach about halfway up the bottom phalange of your index finger.
Stretching it.
Yours a little
cheating.
Is yours a little on the short side, Stephanie? Is that what you're doing?
I can't tell because I keep doing that moving. So maybe it must be a little bit short.
Okay. So this is an average. So if we have a shorter thumb, that means that thumb may not have as far of a reach in terms of its ability to get things done. If you have a long thumb, that thumb may have a little extra reach in terms of getting things done. Now, the other factor that we'd be looking at would be overall proportion. So is the thumb the right size for the rest of the hand? Does it look like it's in proportion? Does it look like it's huge? Does it look like it's small? I kind of have a big thumb, I think.
Yes, yours is a fairly big thumb.
I have a fairly big thumb.
Mine's pretty average for my hand.
Let's see my other hand. Let's see if I can get that in the front of the camera correctly.
There
There
you
it is. This one really looks big. That's a big thumb for the rest of my hand. That looks pretty darn big. So let's look at some examples. So this is clearly an example of a short thumb. If we were to take that thumb and move it so that you could see, we could drew a line that went across here. You could see it would only come to about here. If you can see my mouse moving across here, it's a little bit less than halfway up. So this is a short thumb. And let's actually go ahead and talk about proportion, because it just looks out of proportion with the rest of the hand altogether. The fingers look kind of okay, but that thumb doesn't look like it goes with the rest of those fingers. Wouldn't you say?
I would say so. That thumb actually looks like a chicken wing that it got stuck onto that hand, or like a chicken leg. It's like, oh my gosh, it's totally different than the rest of the hand.
It doesn't look like it even belongs on that hand.
It doesn't belong there.
This person would have a little bit of a harder time taking control, getting results. Yeah, it feels a little stunted.
Yes.
And they might feel a little stunted. That would be a good word to use for that.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's look at the next one, which is a long thumb. So that's a really long thumb. If we were to fold that one up, it comes almost to the top of the phalange, of the bottom phalange of the index finger. It's almost all the way up to, it pretty much would come up to here if we could fold that thumb in on this print.
Almost to the second one.
Almost to that line there. So this person has a lot of reach. They have the ability to use that thumb and get a lot more done. Okay, so anything else you want to say about that thumb, Stephanie?
I don't know much about long thumbs, personally.
From experience?
I like working with them because they get results.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on then to some thumbs that show that they're just generally out of proportion. So here we have a thumb that is kind of huge for this hand. The top section in particular, I mean, it's so top heavy, this thumb. It looks like it's going to topple over, or it might, like, you could almost feel like it's so kind of thin down at the base, but the top is just so fat. Like if you went right here and just kind of went crack, that you would actually be able to break that thumb off. Yeah. Because it's so top heavy. You think about it, it's like a tree limb in the cold when it gets a lot of ice on it, and then down it goes. So this thumb might actually be this is a person with a thumb that shows they might be so controlling that the rest of their life actually gets kind of messed up by it. Wouldn't you say that's a good assessment?
Yes, I would definitely say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they may actually kind of get in their own way.
I was going to say that they cut their own legs off at certain points, with doing certain things, like I'm going full force, and then they forget everything else.
Right. Or I need everything to be just so, to the point where that they can't actually live up to what they're trying to do for themselves.
Yeah. Too rigid, not able to be flexible.
Right.
Sometimes you have to let go of those controlling things.
Right. So now let's look at the opposite. So here we have a thumb that is so shrunken, it's almost disappearing. And of course, that print is not, it didn't print very well to the connection of the hand. And when, if you have ever had a reading with either one of us, you know that we also take that into account when we're looking at hands and prints. Obviously, that thumb really is connected to the person's hand. But if I were to print that hand and then print it again and print it again, and for some reason that part of the hand just didn't want to print, no matter how much ink I put on it, that would tell me that there's a disconnect. And that could be for any part of the hand. But this one happens to be the thumb right now, which is what we're talking about. But that thumb is short. It's thin. It's not well connected to the hand. So this is the hand of somebody who's definitely going to have trouble getting anything taken care of. They may feel completely disorganized. They may feel like no matter how hard they try, they can't get the result they're looking for. What would you say, Stephanie?
Yeah, I would say maybe some, not confusion, but frustration of trying to get things done. I was going to say like the wallflower, maybe they're shy and they don't want to show things to other people, but that's a little different. This
Right.
would be more of, yeah, just getting frustrated. I've been doing these things and I just can't get them off the ground.
Right, right, right. Okay, so those are some examples of thumb proportions and thumb size. Now let's look at some other things that we use to measure the success potential for thumbs. So here we have what I call the architecture of the thumb. So the architecture of the thumb has a little more, less to do with size and more to do with how it's connected to the hand and how it, so two factors to consider again. One is the angle of opposition. So what is the angle of opposition? When I'm talking about angle of opposition, I'm saying, it's the space here between the thumb and the hand. Now for me to have a very wide, oh gosh, I'm still figuring out my camera. For me to have a very wide angle of opposition, I really have to stretch that thumb out. And that's not a comfortable, relaxed position for me. We're looking at the angle between the thumb and the rest of the hand when it's relaxed. So you can see mine is kind of midway. There's people whose thumbs really go out like that. And then there's some people whose thumbs are kind of scooched up next to their hands and they really can't get it down much further than that. That's just the way their hand is. It's up like that. So the angle of opposition talks about how comfortable someone is being in control or how much they need to feel like they're in control. A very wide angle of opposition shows someone who tends to be more in control. The hand that I talked about before, where it's kind of like the relaxed position shows it up like this, that's the hand, the thumb that belongs to somebody who's very happy to go along and let somebody else be in charge. Or if they're not, this could be a problem for them. But more often than not, they are not the take charge type. This is the take charge type when the thumb angle is way, way out like that. And I would say that, there's a wide range in between that, and there's no right answer as to where the good angle is. It's all related to the rest of the hand and the personality and the goals. But for some people, it could either be good or bad, whichever kind you have, depending on everything else in the hand. Do you have anything to add to that?
Not particularly. You got that down. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. And then there's the thumb set. So the thumb set is what I'm looking at with my little diagram down here. How far from the wrist does the thumb exit the hand? And I think the best way to talk about that is to show examples. But the low set thumb, again, has ease in getting things done. Someone with a high set thumb, where it feels like it's leaving the hand closer to the fingers up top, has a little harder time, has to work a little harder at getting their results. I don't know if there's anything I've left out about that.
Oh.
All right, so let's look at some examples. So here we have an average angle of opposition. This is kind of in the middle. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I just wanted to show one so we can see the difference. And here we have one with a very, 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 very wide angle of opposition. Very wide. So this is a person who is definitely in the take charge category, wanting to be in charge or able to be in charge or always being in charge. There's lots of things we could, possibilities there, and it would all come out in a reading of the whole hand. Anything you want to say about this thumb? We're going to come back to this hand. So,
Not at the moment.
all right, we are going to talk more about this hand in a little bit. Now I'm going to show you one. This is a hand with a narrow angle of opposition, and I have seen tighter ones where the thumb is even closer to the hand. But this is a good example of a narrow one. It's actually that's a pretty large thumb, which means they would prefer to be more in charge with that big thumb. Thumb would like to have more power and more get more results, but holding that thumb in like that shows that there's something that's keeping it from getting that big thumb energy out in the world. All
Whether
right.
External or internal, it's something holding them back.
Something is holding them back.
Yep.
And we would find that out by reading other things in the hand. All right. Now let's look at thumb set. So here is a high set thumb. And you can see here, here's the wrist down here. The thumb is, the thumb comes out of the hand way up here. That's almost as long as the thumb itself. I'd say it's about 2/3 of the length of the thumb before the thumb actually comes out of the hand. So you can see that right there. Big area before the thumb makes it out of the hand. So that thumb doesn't have the ability to the flexibility. It's not going to be as opposable because of where it's coming out of the hands. Now, here's the opposite again. Here's your low set thumb. So here's your wrist here. This is not super low set, but it's lower set. It's lower than average. It's still, and it's again, it's an enormous thumb for the rest of that hand. That thumb looks, I don't know, it looks like somebody kind of stuck a snake on the end of that hand.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
like the longest thumb. I mean, the longest finger. Sorry, the longest finger on there.
I know, it's as long as the fingers up on top.
Yeah.
It's really kind of a strange thumb. Like it belonged on another hand and someone just went, hey, we need a thumb here. Let's just swap that up. Here's one.
We'll use this one.
So yeah, it is an odd thumb. That thumb has definitely got sway over the rest of the hand. What was the quote you said from Kay?
The thumb is the engine for the rest of the finger's energies.
Yeah, well, this thumb has a very, very large engine. There's a lot of horsepower in this thumb.
Yeah, I feel sorry for all the energy of the other fingers that have to keep up with it.
Right. Yep.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. Yes, very much so. Okay, so I said we were going to go back to that other handprint before of that hand with the wide angle of opposition. So you can see I've got that handprint on the right. And I want to mention that this hand with the wide angle of opposition over here on the right also is a very low set thumb. So it has two things going for it. It's low set and it has a very wide angle of opposition. This is a hand that likes to be in control. This is a hand that likes to be in control. And I did readings for both of these people. When we look at the hand on the left, we've got kind of a smallish thumb. What would you say about the hand on the left? The thumb.
It's a very high set. It's in a little bit, brought in a little bit, and it is a short one. So
it's short.
Yeah.
It feels a little ineffective.
Right.
For the rest of that hand because it's got a very large palm. It's a big palm. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we put this thumb analysis into practice here because these are the handprints of a married couple. And so you can see the gentleman on the left has a small thumb. The lady on the right has a larger thumb with that incredibly wide angle of opposition, and that hand just seems to have a lot of energy in general, whereas the hand on the left feels kind of timid, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I would say that. I would definitely say that thumb is the yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. I'll get that for you, dear.
Yes, and I can tell you from having read for these folks that the lady on the right with that wide angle of opposition and low set thumb definitely expected everything to be done her way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes, she would be the one that said, these eggs are too runny and you need to go and talk to the chef. Husband, go do that right now and you take care of that. Why don't you just get rid of the chef and cook them for me? Because you know how I like them. And he would go, yes, dear.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. But that doesn't mean he actually liked saying yes, dear.
Oh no, he's in the back of the restaurant going, you can do it any way you want. Just make him look like it. Look like what she wants.
The top section of his thumb is kind of round, even though his thumb is small compared to the rest of his hand. And his angle of opposition says that he's not going to be particularly pushy about trying to push back with her demands. But at the same time, it's not a super narrow angle of opposition where he's just happy to go along. So right. I would say that sometimes he's probably just would go along to keep the peace, and other times he might not.
A little rebellion.
A little rebellion.
Yeah, just for his peace of mind.
Right. Right. Yes.
Not too much rebellion, just like I didn't pick up the newspaper today, so I made her do it.
Right. Potentially a little passive aggression.
Yes, yes, a little passive aggressive in that thumb right there.
Yeah, and part of that is because this part of the thumb right here, well, we're not talking about this mound of Mars today, but you can see it's pretty round, which shows that there's a lot of stored up anger there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not talking about Mars and that part of the thumb today, but since we're talking about the practical aspects of reading thumbs, we'll just bring that in to show you that this person may not be happy taking orders from large-thumbed wife, but they aren't necessarily actively pushing back, not with that thumb that he has. Okay, so let's move on from the examples that we have here, and we're just going to talk about a couple more ways where you can look at your own thumbs without taking handprints or knowing a lot about hand reading. So one of the things you can do with your thumb is to check how flexible it is. You can pull on it and see, does my thumb flex or is it stiff? So the stiff-thumbed person is not going to bend to the demands of others. The flexible-thumbed person is may sometimes bend too much. I've actually seen thumbs where I can bend the top section. I'm not going to be able to show you this because mine is kind of a stiff thumb. But I've seen ones where I can bend this top section around so far I can almost touch it back to the end of the thumb. That is is that you?
Yeah. I will bend over backwards for other people, but I'm learning boundaries. So
okay. Yeah. So
but yes, I'm very flexible.
Right. We actually call that the bending over backwards thumb. And then when I see people with double jointed thumbs, that's when I always ask them, I said, are you always bending over and to help other people? And every time I've met a double jointed thumb person, they tell me, oh yes, that's what I do. Now, does that mean they have to stop being double jointed to fix that problem? No,
that's part of their personality. They won't be able to help it,
but they get to become aware of it and choose.
And they get to choose. That's the best part about it.
Right, is learning that you can choose. You don't have to do it every time. Another thing that I look at in thumbs all the time is the tip of the thumb. So let's see if I can get my camera angle. There we go. Okay, so it's the mirror thing.
There we go. Yes.
I'm directionally challenged, so you guys are just gonna have to put up with it if you decide
There we go.
to follow us on YouTube. So when you look at the tip of the thumb, it should have a little bit of roundness to it, and so a little bit of fullness to the thumb. And then what I do is with people is I squeeze that thumb, and you can see actually you can see mine. Let's see if I can get it closer to the camera. You can see that mine did not poof back up all that quickly.
Right.
It took a little while. It's kind of a little bit deflated. That's exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
So this tip of the thumb is about service to others in the world. So when you are feeling a little exhausted, burnt out, that you get what I call it the flat tire. And I've actually seen people where I can press on their thumb and it just stays flat. It looks like their thumb comes to a point. The skin, like it doesn't have any poof at all. Mine is showing that, yes, I've exhausted myself a little bit recently, but I expect that to come back because it's not like a flat tire. But I have looked at people and like sometimes that'll be the first thing I say to them. And they just go, oh my God, how did you know?
Right.
Because they're just worn out. They're burnt out. So that's a real easy way to look at the thumb and go, what's going on? Are you giving too much? Are you letting other people take your power? Are you giving your power away? Are you giving your control away? You're not going to get results when you're that exhausted. Anything else you can think about of that we can tell people they can do with their thumbs? That's fairly easy. Am I missing anything?
Let's go back to the opposition, the angle of opposition. So don't get too frustrated if you're like in control of everything, because that's how naturally you are. Just be able to be more flexible at some point. Let other people have an opinion. So
Right.
it's opening up a little bit, being a little more cautious and aware of, oh, I might be controlling this situation. So
also learning to delegate.
And learning to delegate. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. Delegating, people won't do it my way.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But so I think that's what we're gonna say right now about thumbs.
Yep.
And if you have any questions about thumbs, you can put them in comments under this video. You can put them in comments, in our Facebook group. So that's the other thing I want to talk about, is that we have a Facebook group called the Hand Readers Guild Forum.
Sorry.
Oh,
dog time.
You.
It's my dog time.
Join that group.
Join this group right here.
So the Hand Readers Guild Forum is actually with a space between the H and hand and the readers. But it's a Hand Readers Guild Forum, and you can look for that on Facebook. We have a page on Facebook. You can like our page. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about hands. This is only episode 2, but we are going to be doing a lot more of these. And we're going to talk about fingerprints and life purpose. We're going to talk about the chakras in the hands. We're going to talk about each individual finger, including the notorious middle one. That's a fun one to talk about. The middle finger. We're going to talk about intuitive hands, and we're going to talk about simian creased head lines. We're going to talk about gift markings, and the topics are endless.
That middle finger could have 2 shows just dedicated to it.
Yeah, it can. So we'll talk about life lessons. We'll talk about, all kinds of things. Skin-rich patterns that look like fingerprints in the palms. Those are fun.
Those are super fun.
Super fun. What do they mean? Because you don't have those anywhere else on your body. What does that mean? We'll talk about what it means to have a gift marking, because that's a contract. So do you have a contract? Do you have multiple contracts? Okay, enough coming attractions. Like I said, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. come visit our page, come visit our group, subscribe to our channel. We do have an Instagram feed that we post to occasionally. I have to get back to that, but maybe we'll take some clips from these and make little reels.
Yeah, show us a picture of your thumbs.
Right.
We'd love to see thumbs.
Yes. Ask us about your thumbs.
Yeah.
All
absolutely.
right. So I think we're going to sign off again for today. So again, I'm Leslie from the Hand Readers Guild.
And I'm Stephanie from the Hand Readers Guild.
And it was great to talk with you today.
Have a great day.